justice to your curiosity. Good morning, Philippines. This is Julian Siligon and you're watching News 24 Daily Newscast. Live at Mabinay Negros Oriental, let us hear May Adel for her report.
Yes, you're right, partner Julie. We will travel to Japanese period of Philippine literature. Philippine literature was interrupted in its development when the Philippines was again conquered by another country, which is Japan.
These had an advantageous effect on Filipino literature, which experienced renewed attention because writers in English turned to writing in Filipino. Juan Laya, who used to write in English, turned to Filipino because of the strict prohibition of the Japanese regarding any writing in English.
In addition to that, the weekly Liwayway was placed under strict surveillance until it was managed by Japanese name Ishiwara. In other words, Filipino literature was given a break during this period. Many wrote plays, poems, short stories, and more. Topics and themes were often about life in the provinces.
Live at Sipalay City, let us hear Aiza Pananganan for her report.
Pleasant morning, universe. This is Aiza bringing you the latest news. A Filipino poetry during the Japanese period which focuses on the occupation, love of country and nationality, and life in a various faith, arts, and religion. There are three types of poem emerged during this period, and that is the haiku, the tanaga, and the usual form. A haiku is a poem with a free verse with 17 syllables that's divided into 3 lines. A tanaga is also like haiku. It is measured but it is rhymed with 17 syllables in each line. A karaniwang anyo or a usual form is a common form of a poetry. To hear further information about the Japanese period, let us hear from Diana Seth Fernandez.
Thank you, Aiza. Live at News 24, this is Diana reporting. Filipino drama during the Japanese period. The drama experienced a lull during the Japanese period because of the movie houses showing American films were closed. The big movie were just made to show stage shows. Many were productions of English play to Tagalog. The translators are Francisco Soc Rodrigo, Alberto Concho, and Narcisco Pimentel. They also founded the organization of Filipino player named Dramatic Philippines. A few playwrights are Jose Maria Hernandez wrote Panday Tira, Francisco Soc Rodrigo wrote Sa Pula Sa Puti, Guadeldo del Mundo wrote Bulaga, and Julio Cruz Balsamido wrote Sino Ba Kayo? Dahil sa Anak and Higante ng Patay. Short story during the Japanese period. The field of short story widened during Japanese occupation. Many wrote short stories. Among them were Brigido Batong Bakal, Macario Pineda, Serafin Ginigindo, Liwayway Arceo, Narciso Ramos, and V.M. Gonzalez, Alicia Ann Lopez, Ligaya Perez, and Gloria Guzman. The best writing in 1945 were selected by the group of judges, composed of Francisca Encasio, Jose Esperanza Cruz, Antonio Rosales, Guadeldo del Mundo, and Teodoro Santos. As the result of this election, the following got the first 3 prizes. First prize goes to Narciso Reyes with his Tinubu Ang Lupa. Second prize goes to Liwayway Arceo, Ang Uhaw na Tigang na Lupa. And the last prize goes to LVM Gonzalez, Lungsod Nayon at Ang Dagat-Dagatan. And now, let's hear the report of Angeline El Camel. Once again, this is Diana Fernandez reporting live at News 24, signing off.
Thank you, Miss Diana. Live at News 24, this is Angeline El Camel reporting. Philippine literature in English on 1941 to 1945. Because of the strict prohibitions imposed by the Japanese in writing and publishing works in English, Philippine literature in English experienced a dark period. The few who dared to write a soul for your bread and a butter or for propaganda Writings that came out during this period were journalistic in nature. Writers felt suppressed, but slowly, the spirit of nationalism started to seep into their consciousness. While some continued to write, the majority waited for a better climate to publish their works. Noteworthy writer of the period was Carlos Romolo, who won the Pulitzer Prize for his bestsellers I Saw the Fall of the Philippines, I See the Philippines Rise, and His Mother America and My Brother American. Journalists include Salvador P. Lopez, Leon Maguirero, Raul Manglapos, and Carlos Bulusan. Nick Joaquin produced The Woman Who Looked Like Lazarus. Specialist Castro wrote a few poems. FBA Casino wrote essays in the Philippine Review. Carlos Bulas's works included The Laughter of My Father on 1944, The Boys of Bamaan on 1943, and The Six Filipino Poets on 1942. Among others, Alfredo Latiaco published With Heart of Flame in 1943. Jose Villarreal published Forces That Make a Nation Great. The Commonwealth Literary Awards give prizes to meritorious writers. Now, let's talk about the description and explanation about Tom, I Saw the Fall of the Philippines by Carlos P. Romolo. This is an eyewitness account of the Battle of the Philippines, done through the author's thrilling escape on the last train from Bataan, and again through the last train from Mindanao. His book is of particular significance because of Colonist Romelo's close association with the men who were directing that campaign. He had long been ardent admirer and good friend of President Quezon and also General MacArthur, who staffed to serve as press relations officer during the 4 months of war in the Philippines. His faith in the courage of MacArthur and the patriotism of Quezon never faltered during these terrible days. The spokesman for the Filipino evidently has little fear on the last score, just because the war had traveled towards Far East heading for democracy. The spokesman for the Filipino people evidently has little fear as on the last score. Just before the war, he would travel toward the Far East heading for democracy, but he felt spotted outside his country. He says Filipino would not be a worthy people of Americanism if he didn't know that his independence and self-respect spring from what he learned from America. Through the voice of freedom, the radio and corridor, he said. This is Adeline Alcamal reporting. Back to you, Miss Julianne.
Freedom at last, live at Central Philippine State University. This is Julian Silibon reporting. The American returned in 1945. Filipino rejoiced and guerrillas who fled to the mountain joined the American array. On July 4, 1946, the Philippines regained its freedom and the Filipino flag waved joyously alone. The chains were broken, the shackles of bandage freed. The early post-liberation period was marked by a kind of struggle of mind and spirit, posed by the sudden emancipation from the enemy and the wild desire to see free. There was a proliferation of newspapers like Free Press, Morning Sun of Sergio Ismeña Singer, Daily News of Manuel Rojas, Manila Times and Daily Mirror of Joaquin Rosas, News of Ramon Rosas, Philippine Herald of Soriano, Chronicle of the Lopezes, Bulletin of Mensa. Here are some of the writers and their works of period. The Voice of the Veteran, a compilation of the best works of some ex-USFA men like Amante Bigornia, Ramon de la Cruz, Ramon de Jesus, and J.F.
Philippines, freedom at last. The twilight in Tokyo and passion and death of the USAFFE by Leon Maria Guerrero. For Freedom and Democracy by S.P. Lopez. Betrayal in the Philippines by Hernando Abaya. 7 Hills Away by N.V.M. Gonzalez. Poetry in English during this time, the themes of most poems dealt with the usual love of nature and social and political problems. Toribia Mano's poem showed deep emotional intensity. Jose Garcia Villas' Have Come I'm Here won acclaim both here and abroad. For first 20 years, many books were published both in Filipino and in English. Among the writers during his time were Fred Ruiz Castro, Dominador I, Ilyo, and C.B. Ruger. Some notable works of the period there are Heart of the Island in the year of 1947. This is the collection of poems by Manuel Duray. Philippines Cross-Section in the year of 1950. And this is the collection of prose and poetry by Maximo Ramos and Florentino Valleros. And also the prose and poems in the year of 1952 with Nick Joaquin. Novels and short stories in English, Stephen Habilio wrote Without Seeing the Dawn. The story tells of the grim experience of war during the Japanese occupation. In the year of 1946, the Barangay Writers of the Philippines, whose aim was to publish works in English by Filipinos, was established. In the year 1956, the Pen Center of the Philippines, or the Poets, Essayists, and Novelists, was inaugurated in the same year. Francesco Arcellana published this pen anthology of short stories. This is Kashami Sumbilya reporting.
Good morning, Philippines. Freedom at last. In 1961, Kirema Pulutan's novel The Hand of the Enemy won the Stonehill Award for the Filipino novel in English. In 1968, Luis Vitiador Jr.'s short story The Adversary won the Philippines Free Press a Short Story Award in 1969. His story, The Trail of the Professor Diego, won second prize in the Palanca Memorial Awards for Literature, and in 1970, his story, The Distant City, won the Tropic Short Story Award. In the new Filipino literature, Philippine literature in Tagalog was revived during this period. Most themes in the writings dealt with Japanese brutality, of the poverty of life under with Japanese government, and the brave guerrilla exploits. Tagalog poetry acquired not only rhyme but substance and meaning. Short stories had better characters and events based on facts and realities, and themes were more meaningful. Again, well-mass reporting. Let's give a turn to...
Good morning, Philippines! It is a beautiful day, May 31, 2021, and we are here at Central Philippine State University, serving you the most updated news for your news as our business. Here comes the Freedom, the new Filipino literature. The novels became common but were still read by the Filipino for recreation. The people's love for listening to poetic chants increased more than before, and people started to flock to places to hear poetic debates. The Palanca Awards. Another inspiration for writers and Filipino was the launching of the Palanca Memorial Awards for Literature, and this was headed by Carlos Palanca Sr. in 1950. The awards were given to writers of short stories, plays, and poetry. The first awardees in its first year 1950 to 1951 in the field of the short story were the following. First prize, Kwento ni Mabuti by Genoveva Edroza. Second prize, Mabangis na Kamay, Maamong Kamay by Pedro S. Dandan. Third prize, Planeta, Buwan at Mga Bituin by Elpedio P. Capulong. This is Jonabel Gundao, your reporter for today, signing off.
Thank you for watching. This is News 24 Daily Newscast. Again, I am Julian Siligon for more latest news and updates.